Today, we must confront a brutal reality that the mainstream media, the corporate class, and the political establishment would rather you ignore: Israel's attack on Yemen. Yes, Yemen, a nation already devastated by years of war, poverty, famine, and relentless foreign intervention. And now, to add insult to catastrophic injury, we see a powerful, militarized state, backed by billions in U.S. aid and arms, launching strikes on a people who have no air force, no navy, no billion-dollar defense contractors. Ask yourself, what kind of global order allows this? And who benefits from this chaos? 9 halves, 3:53 p.m. Noreen Noor. They say knowledge is power, but in a world dominated by propaganda, selective reporting, and corporate-controlled media, knowledge becomes a weapon, one they desperately hope you'll never wield. When we talk about Israel's attack on Yemen, we're not just confronting a geopolitical event, we're confronting a narrative war. And in that war, your awareness is a threat to the status quo. The moment you begin to ask who benefits, who profits, and who pays the price, you step outside the role they've assigned you. You stop being a passive consumer of news, and you become an active participant in truth. That shift is not small, it is revolutionary. They will tell you it's complicated. They will flood you with technical language, military jargon, and historical diversions to obscure the core reality: a militarized power, heavily subsidized by Western imperial interests, is bombing one of the most impoverished nations on Earth. And somehow, we are told not to question it. Somehow, we are asked to believe that this is about security, or defense, or terrorism. But when the bombs fall on marketplaces, hospitals, schools, what exactly are they defending? And from whom? Here's the hook they don't want you to see: confusion is part of the control. When the facts are buried under layers of distortion, people give up trying to understand. And that's exactly the point. Because once the public becomes numb, once we're desensitized, they can continue these wars with impunity. They can pass billion-dollar arms deals, maintain blockades, and greenlight bombings, without protest, without resistance, without accountability. But you are here. You are listening. That alone means their grip is slipping. The most dangerous thing you can do in a system built on lies is to insist on the truth. To follow the money. To question the power. Because behind every war, every strategic interest is an economic agenda, crafted not for your safety or your values, but for corporate profits and geopolitical dominance. When you see that, you can't unsee it. And when enough people see it, the balance of power starts to shift. So when they say you're just one person, remember this: every movement begins with someone who refused to stay silent. Your awareness isn't just a personal insight, it's the first crack in a system that depends on your ignorance to survive. 9 halves, 3:54 p.m. Noreen Noor. War is not the tragic result of miscommunication or cultural misunderstanding. It is a calculated decision, made in boardrooms and government offices, where the human cost is weighed against financial and strategic gain. The attack on Yemen by Israel is not an unpredictable escalation. It is part of a long-standing model where war serves as a tool to reshape regions, secure resources, and sustain economic interests. These are not emotional or accidental acts, they are rational within a system that values power and profit above human life. And that should disturb us far more than any propaganda about national security or defense. Because once you recognize that war is a choice, a strategy, a business, it becomes impossible to justify it as anything else. The real drivers of modern warfare are rarely visible on the battlefield. They are tucked behind the closed doors of arms manufacturers, fossil fuel lobbies, and the multinational firms that profit from reconstruction after the destruction. When bombs fall on Yemen, contracts are already being drafted, contracts for rebuilding what was just destroyed, for securing access to trade routes, for maintaining political leverage over oil-producing regions. This is the dark economy of war, one that rarely makes headlines but directs the course of global violence with chilling efficiency. Here's the hook they never want you to see. War is good for business, but only for a very specific class of people. While politicians beat the drums of patriotism, and media outlets manufacture urgency and fear, it is the working class, the poor, and the voiceless who pay the price. The system depends on our disconnection from that reality. It counts on us being distracted, divided, or disillusioned. But if we begin to understand the economic logic behind these wars, the whole story changes. What once looked like chaos begins to resemble design. And that means it can be dismantled. If war is not an inevitability but a political and economic decision, then opposing it is not idealism, it's necessity. We must refuse to accept that there is no alternative. Because there is, divesting from the war economy, dismantling the global arms trade, and reinvesting in peace building, education, healthcare, and justice. The powerful have chosen war because it serves their interests. The rest of us must choose peace, not as a dream, but as a strategic demand, rooted in solidarity, and backed by political courage.